We're starting. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, I'm just getting set up here. Good morning. My name is Adrienne Bradley, and thank you for joining me here today. I am your host, and welcome to the Daycare Q&A Show. I have to tell you, I am a little frazzled this morning. I woke up and my phone had died. And, okay, you would think, maybe that's not a big deal, Adrienne. What's the big deal? Well, first of all, I couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. This phone is not that old. I mean, literally not that old. And it's completely dead. So my alarm didn't go off. I woke up an hour later than I normally do. That was first issue. I didn't know if my family was trying to contact me or not, so I actually had to go to Facebook and Messenger and let them know that my phone was dead and communicate that way. But still, recoverable, right? But then a little while ago when I was trying to get online, because of all the two-step verification, it goes through your phone to verify. And of course, my phone is dead. So I literally was not able to get into Google or to even get into Facebook on my desktop. Luckily, I already had it open in my laptop, so I'm going to broadcast from the laptop today. But yeah, you think you don't need technology until it disrupts a bunch of stuff. So literally today, whatever I had planned, it's going to have to involve a trip to Verizon to get this handled because, yeah, this is an issue. So if you are joining me here today, thank you. I appreciate you because that's going to be one of the highlights of the day. Actually, I'm not going to put that on myself. So if you are joining me here, welcome. And please leave me some hearts and likes so I can say hi to you. Hopefully I can see you because this dashboard is even more foreign to me here on my laptop. But I do want to say hi. So again, my name is Adrienne Bradley, and thank you for coming today to the show. So let's see. I'm reading off my notes to the side so that I don't get completely lost here. But yeah, so leave me some hearts and likes if you're joining me live, and if you are catching this on replay, please leave a hi in the comments so I can say hi to you as well. By the way, has anybody else dealt with their phone completely just dying on them and not knowing how and what to communicate, how to communicate with the rest of the world? I mean, if you have, put your hands up in the comments and let me know because anyway. All right, so I usually start the show with a few housekeeping notes, and I will let you know that this show will probably just be going our usual 30 minutes today because all of a sudden I have different things on my agenda today. So but anyway, so housekeeping. I want to send a huge thank you to Erica Shikosia and I hope I said her last name right, but she's amazing. She hosted the show for me last week, and in my absence, she did an amazing job. Erica has actually two podcasts. One of them is the Childcare Director's Chair. I highly suggest you go to iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts and follow her there. Her episodes are bite-sized, so we can consume them, at nap time or even when you're fixing a meal for the kids or just any time in the car or whatever, or binge over the weekend because she keeps them short and sweet and straight to the point, and I love that. So it's the Childcare Director's Chair on iTunes, and I'm sure anywhere else you can get your podcast. So go and follow her. But she was amazing last week. She brought so much insight from her 20 plus, I think she's been in the business for 23 years. So she speaks, she knows from what she speaks, and she has three centers. She had more before, but she explains in the episode why she condensed down to the three. But she also covered a lot of things in the show, and one thing that I'm hoping that not hoping, I know we're going to be covering more of, she addressed the issues surrounding the universal pre-K. And she gave some amazing tips and advice for providers in dealing with the challenges that come with the rollout of universal pre-K. And I know Denitra Scott has been on the show and she's talked about it, but we will continue to have that discussion because I think there's going to be a lot of need for information surrounding that. But Erica got into that last week. She also covered how to find premium help, and I'm talking about your assistants, your daycare teachers, and why you need to continue to keep your standards high when you are hiring. And she gave some amazing advice on how to deal with the challenges of competing for premium help with the rollout of universal pre-K. So if you missed that episode last week, I would highly suggest you scroll and find it in on the page here. I am out of sorts this week, so I still have yet to upload it onto our YouTube channel, but I will be trying to do that by the end of the week along with this episode as well. But yeah, please go back and listen to that because the advice that she gave was amazing. Some of the things just you wouldn't even know to be concerned about. I mean, when I was talking to her, I was like, wow, I didn't even realize that was the issue. I mean, she covered the fact that you're not just competing with the school districts for these assistants and teachers at this point. You're also competing with retailers because their wages have been raised. And so, we're caught in this situation where we are competing for so much of the workforce that we need to survive. So go back and listen to that episode from last week. And I just want to, again, thank her. I can't thank her enough because I knew we had some technical difficulties right in the beginning of her going live, but we overcame them. And she was just wonderful to continue with that because, believe you me, today I understand what it's like to have some technical difficulties. But yeah, please go back and listen to that show. There's a lot of good information. Okay. Again, I've been saying this in every episode. Excuse me. That giving a bit of a disclaimer that the advice that I give to questions here on the show or the opinions that I share are my own. They are from my own experience from being a provider for over 20 plus years, and they either come from direct experience, my own direct experience, or experience from close colleagues that I've had over the years. So please, I understand that not everything fits for everyone. Everyone's business is different. So take what works for your business and use that and leave the rest. It probably applies to someone else. It's not for everyone. Not every piece of advice is. It won't fit for everyone. But there are some pearls here. I know that will work for people who are dealing with issues that a lot of other providers are dealing with. So we're just here to help, to give you another outlook on some issue that you might be dealing with. And yeah, so let me move on. Okay. let's see. Oh, and I always forget, but if you have a question, I'm going to try to monitor. I can't on my phone, and my laptop, I can't even access Facebook on my desktop. So if you do have a question here, please drop it in the comments, even while we're going live, or if you're watching this on replay, drop it in the comments and I will come back in and reply to it, because I will try to scroll down and see if there are any questions as I'm on. But if I miss anything, please just feel free to leave it in the comments and I will come back and answer it. Okay, so let's see what's going on in the childcare universe. So today, first of all, I want to say that today's episode is sponsored by the Provider Planner and Organizer. That is our luxury planner just for childcare providers. You can see it in the background here. And let me just remind you that it is September, and actually September is almost over. I mean, hopefully we have, I'm not looking at the calendar. I can't even, I'm telling you, my day is a little frazzled. Okay, we have one more week and some change in September. So the holidays are right around the corner, and so is the new year. So I want to encourage you to go and get your planner for next year now. The Provider Planner and Organizer is undated, so you can, once you receive it, you can use it immediately. You're still going to get 12 months out of it, but now is a great time to do that before the holiday rush. You can use it during the holidays. You can get ahead of the new year and plan out what you want for your business and your personal life now, so that when the holidays come, you're not trying to juggle all that and all of a sudden it's the new year and it's a lot going on. So there is a link in this in the show notes here today where you can go and order your planner or check out and see. If you're new to the planner world, check it out and see what it has to offer. But it is created and made for childcare providers, so I want to encourage you to do that. And we do still have a few of our striped planners left. The floral planners are on back order, and the blue planners we still have some. So go over, click the link and go over and check it out and put your order in now, so that you don't get caught up in the holiday rush and the planners getting sold out. I don't want that for you. I want you to have it in time, actually early, and be able to plan for the exciting things for this coming year. Okay, so one more thing. We have something very special happening tomorrow. Tomorrow, September 21st, I am hosting I'm very honored to be teaching and hosting a webinar for IntelliKid Systems. It is, the title of the webinar is Exhaustion to Excellence, and I'm going to be covering what we need to do as far as self-care to recover from the burnout that a lot of us go through. But we really need to talk about self-care and how we can avoid burnout, recover from it, and put ourselves first. And I know for a lot of us, myself included, that's really foreign to us. It's a foreign routine. It's a foreign even idea to have. But if we get burnt out and we burn ourselves to the ground, nobody benefits, especially us. And I have some hidden gray hairs to prove that point. But yeah, I'm going to be covering self-care, but I'm also going to be covering what is included in a program, a childcare program that has elements of excellence, and what we need to do to strive toward that in our business, and what we can add, and what that looks like. So I'm going to put the link to go over and register for that webinar It is a live webinar for tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and 1 p.m. Eastern Standard. IntelliKid Systems has been very generous and opened it up. It's a free webinar, so you can go over and register for that today. You'll get notification when the webinar starts tomorrow, so you won't miss it, and I believe you'll get the replay as well. So it is a free webinar. I want to encourage you to do that because I will be covering those topics, and I don't think those topics can be covered enough. So I'm really excited about doing this for IntelliKid, so I want to encourage you to go over and get your free seat. Okay? All right. So this morning we're going to dive into some questions. Like I said, I will not be going long because I have to go figure out my technical life today. So I'll be diving into the questions in a minute, but I have been taking the planner and looking forward to see what holidays or observances we have coming up so that you can plan your week accordingly this week and next week. So I was looking at the calendar right before we went on, and I noticed that not only am I hosting that webinar I was just telling you about a moment ago tomorrow, but tomorrow is also International Day of Peace. So that's kind of cool because I need some peace. I need some peace after the way today is starting. I need some peace. But maybe think about doing an activity that you can reference the International Day of Peace. Maybe do a Google search and see what kind of things you could, what kind of projects you could do with the kids tomorrow, what kind of books or story you could read that promote the International Day of Peace, or maybe just explain to them, do some research and explain to them what the International Day of Peace means. So there's that. And then the following day, September 22nd, is Elephant Appreciation Day. So that's kind of cool. I can think of, off the top of my head, a bunch of things you could do for Elephant Appreciation Day. You can do an activity where the kids do their best impression of an elephant. I'm sure you have a book that centers around elephants. I can think of Dr. Seuss's book. What was it? Oh gosh. Somebody help me. What is his name? The elephant that sat on the nest. I can't think of his name. But I'm sure you have that in your library. You could read that to them. How about having them draw a picture of an elephant, asking them if they've ever seen an elephant live, maybe showing them some places where they could see elephants, either in the wild or in the zoo or something like that. Or I don't know if we go to circuses and they have elephants anymore. I'm not sure, but yeah, that would be fun. And then finally, you might want to remind people, if you are taking Columbus Day or Indigenous Peoples Day off and your daycare, your childcare is closed, you might want to send out some reminders for that. Or if you're not closed, you might want to think about maybe some activities around that holiday. Okay, so let's jump into the questions. And so the first question we have is, and I'm looking at my notes, I'm sorry. It says, help, my clients continue to pay late. I'm a new provider, but I haven't had my business for years and years either. She said, I'm not a new provider, but I haven't had my business for years and years either. Most of my parents pay late. They pay, but they pay late. I've updated my handbook and they continue to pay late. I'm a single parent and I can't terminate them because I depend on this income. I can't even afford a gap if one parent left, and the time it would take me to find another parent would be an issue. So I'm wondering, what in the world can I do to get these parents to pay on time? Okay. I started off with this question first because I have intimate knowledge of this particular situation. And I've talked about it here before, but I'm going to continue to talk about it because, as I can see and as I knew, a lot of us deal with that when it comes to our clients. Now, I'm gonna try not to be harsh here, because like I said, I've been in this situation, but I had to be harsh with myself and realize that I had, first of all, set this scenario up. In other words, I teed this up for them to continue to do this. And I'm talking about my clients. And what I mean by that is I allowed it. I allowed it for far too long, to the point where it became a habit, a routine for them to continue to pay late. I even had one client years ago who, without fail, they would pay, and this is a two-income family, they would pay midweek. I want to say today's Wednesday. They would pay Wednesday when the payment was due on Monday. No matter what, they would always stretch it to Wednesday. And I said two-income family because I wanted to stress the fact that this particular family was fairly well off. They did not have financial issues. I did have some single parent families like this provider, and I did have some other families that were going through some financial struggles, but not this family. So it just became a habit. And because I didn't make a ruckus and I didn't make a big thing about it, they continued to do it. And it got to the point, and this is the part that I've shared here before, where I was going back and forth to my bank, I want to say minimally 4 times a week. Okay? Minimally. And I just couldn't take it. And my bank wasn't around the corner. I had a business account that was at a business bank that was quite a distance from my house. It took me 20-25 minutes to drive there, and 20-25 minutes to drive back. So I would have to go right after I closed for the day, or so it was an issue. It really was, and it started to drive me crazy to the point where I was really upset. And I remember going to the bank one time, and the tellers, they knew me, of course, because I was in there so often, all week long, and one of them said, "Oh, hey Adrian, how you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm tired. I'm back up here at the bank. Parent just paid me." And she said that her sister or sister-in-law had a childcare too, but they were closing. And I was like, "Oh, really? Why are they closing?" And she said, "Well, the parents don't pay on time." And I was like, "Yeah, tell me about it. I know." And she said, "Well, she's actually losing her house." And I was like, "Whoa." And she said, "Yeah, because either they won't pay on time, or they would just dip out and not pay at all and not come back, or it was just whatever." But it got to the point where this woman wasn't able to pay her bills, obviously, and one of them was her house note. And I want to tell you that, sorry, I forgot to turn the printer off. I want to tell you that for me, that was a come to Jesus moment. I was like, "Oh, I got to stop this. That can't be me." I hadn't had my childcare for that many years at that point, but I loved it. And I loved my business, but I was hating this money dance scenario. I was hating it. And when she said that, I took that to heart. And I came back that day and vowed to make changes. And I actually had the opportunity to work with public counsel here, and they had a program where they would review your contract and help you make it better. And it was right around that time, and I remember working with the consultant, and my contract was quite significant, don't get me wrong. It was really detailed at this point, but I remember her suggesting a change that I made was, instead of the childcare tuition being due on Monday for the week, she suggested that I move it and it be due on Friday, the Friday previous Okay, so in other words, for this week, you parents would have paid last Friday. And I pushed back a little. I said, well, but, why? And she said, well, for one, most people get paid on Friday. And for two, if they don't have it by Monday, then you can, enforce it better. So I took it. I said, you know what? Yeah, let's do that. Because I knew what I was doing wasn't working. Okay. So I changed from the tuition being due Monday of the current week to Friday of the previous week for the new week coming. And I remember that one client that I was telling you that always paid late on that Wednesday. I let her know that we were making this change, and she said, oh no, you're probably going to get pushback because most people don't like to pay for services before they receive them. And I was like, well, that's not true. I knew that wasn't true. We pay for insurance that we hope to never use. We pay for a lot of things prior to using those services. I can't think of anything right now, but you know what I mean. But anyway, I didn't pay any attention to her. Do you know she was the only one who made even a little peep about it? So first of all, if you have something like that, I would suggest making a change like that, moving it up so that what the consultant told me was if they don't pay on Friday, let's say all of a sudden, oh, we're not coming on Friday or something, and they don't show up and neither does the tuition. Well, by Monday, when they come, they need to have it. Or, like most providers say, no pay, no play. So, when they're at the door on Monday, do you have the tuition? You don't? Okay, I'm sorry. When you have the tuition, then please come back. And I know that's going to be hard. I know it's going to be hard. Thankfully, I didn't have to do that. I didn't have to do that part. But as soon as I got serious and let my clients know I was serious about when the tuition was due and what would happen if it wasn't received on time, the other thing I did was to let them know we would be enforcing the late fee. So, if you didn't pay on Friday and you showed up on Monday and you didn't have it to give me that Monday morning, right then and there, right as you're walking through the door, then there was a late fee that was imposed. And I had to do that one time. Because once the client that I had to do that with realized that was going to happen, nobody wants to pay more for services if they can get it for cheaper. Look at how the gas has gone up and everything. We're used to paying a certain amount. And when that changes, it's not something we like. So I only had to do that one time, and she was on time ever after. Okay? So that's another thing. Consider imposing this provider. You say you have a handbook and a contract. Third of all, go back to your contract. Put it in your contract. Put it in your contract when the tuition is due. That's my advice, to put it in a contract as well. Because what might be happening is they're not even reading the handbook. Okay? And then if you're not enforcing it, then maybe, just maybe, they don't know that it's a hard and fast rule when the tuition is due. Okay? So put it in your contract. Maybe think about moving the tuition deadline up and, impose some consequences. Okay? Now, that is done in any other business. If you don't pay your credit card late, you usually will get a late fee, right? There is a consequence. If you don't pay, I don't know. I can't think of scenarios right now, and today's not a good day. So, if you don't pay things on time, there usually is a consequence. Any other childcare business or daycare center probably has that same rule as well. So there's 3 things right there. Okay, get serious, move move your date up if you need, your deadline date up if you need to. Impose some consequences. Put it in your contract. Make sure. I actually pulled and made a separate tuition agreement. So I made a separate sheet in my contract so that they would have to see it and initial that, so that I knew that they had seen that particular policy, and they would have to submit that when they submitted the contract. It was part of the contract, so that was something that I did. Lastly, every week, I know a lot of providers are going to give me pushback on this, but every single week I would send, especially when I had new clients that came on board, I would send out a text to say on Thursday, because I told you it was due on Friday, Thursday, don't forget, tuition's due tomorrow. Don't forget, tuition's due tomorrow. And I remember a colleague of mine saying, wow, that you're probably annoying them. And I'm like, no, because it's a routine. They know they're going to get it. And by the way, if you've already submitted tuition, what's the problem? Ignore it. But I reminded them, and it made them understand, especially the new ones coming in, that I meant business and that the tuition was due when I said it was due. And from then on, whenever there were late tuitions that were paid, they paid a fee. Okay, so that is my suggestion to you. Several different ways to come at this. I suggest doing all of that and more if you can think of. And lastly, what I also want to suggest is hopefully you're getting a 2-week deposit for your enrollments. And gosh, it's already 31 minutes and I said I wasn't going to go long, but I'm going to go long because I have 2 more questions. Anyway, I'll end this by saying if you are getting those deposits, I want to encourage you to start building an emergency reserve fund. And I have a guide to help you do that. I will leave a link to that in the show notes for this episode. But the reason is because I hate to hear that you're in a situation where you just can't afford to lose anyone, because there are going to be clients that leave for various reasons, and that's going to put you in a bind every single time if you stay in this situation. So I want to encourage you to build out an emergency fund. You can do that really fast if you allocate either all or portions of those deposits that you get towards setting up that, so that you have a bit of a buffer zone, so that when parents do leave or if they pay late, you're not paying your bills late. You're not caught up in that cycle of being in a hard situation. So I want to encourage you to go and look at that guide and start building your emergency reserve fund. Again, there's several different ways. The guide goes through several different ways how you can build it up, and build it up fast, or you can build it over time. But start building a reserve, a cash reserve, so that you don't have to take any and everyone who comes to you that may or may not be a good fit just because you're in a financial bind. Okay, I know what that's like as well. So go and check that out. But hopefully some of that resonated, some of that will help you. I'm speaking from experience. It took me a while, but once I got serious with that, I literally did not have that problem. 99% of my tuitions were received on time after that. So, all right, I'm going to move on to the next question. She says, I am so burned out by 5 p.m. every day. I have 3 kids and a husband, and it takes the last bit of my energy to make dinner. I'm so tired all the time. Tips and tricks to make it easier. My background is I have had a large home daycare for 5 years. So she's 5 years in, and she's burnt out. And she doesn't say here what time her childcare is open. I'm going to just assume that, like for most of us, her childcare is open fairly early. So after working all day, getting off at 5, she has to tend to her family, and she's just really just spent. Okay. First of all, I want to say sign up for the webinar for tomorrow, because I am going to be addressing a lot of ways that you can start to recover from that, because I think that's, as I said before, that needs to be talked about more. We all talk about how we've been burnt out and we're in this provider burnout, but we don't talk about how to get out. I'm going to go in more depth tomorrow, but schedule some time off. And I don't mean time off with your family necessarily either. I mean you time, me time, okay? Pull out your calendar, your provider planner, or whatever calendar you're using, and schedule some time for yourself, okay? And I don't mean a bubble bath. That's not enough time, okay? I was talking to a friend about it. She was like, self-care is not just a bubble bath. I'm like, exactly. Self-care is actually a routine that reinvigorates us, revitalizes us, allows us to rest and recoup and recover. Start doing that for yourself, okay? Tomorrow, like I said, tomorrow I'll get into how to set that up for yourself, what that looks like, but I want you to just start thinking that way, because a lot of times when we're in this profession and we have our own family that we're caring for and whatnot, we forget about us, and we just think, I'm tasked to deal with all of this, and everybody else's care and is on me. But what about you? Who's taking care of you? And if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't employ some self-care routines or some time off or some, however you want to look at it, you are going to burn yourself to the ground. And no one's going to benefit from that. Not your business, not your family, and definitely not you. So, like I said, sign up. I'll put the link before or right after I sign off today's episode. But go over, sign up for tomorrow's webinar, and you'll get the link. And you'll also get the replay. I'm almost certain you'll get the replay if you can't join me live tomorrow. But start thinking about what you can do that will make you not be burnt out, right? And tomorrow I'm going to go into it, like I said. But you need some downtime. Straight up and down. You need some downtime, okay? Whatever that sounds like to you, whatever that means to you, you need to have these things on tap. So I just want to encourage you to think about that, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow and we can get more in depth with it, okay? All right. Last question. I think this is the last question. Let me make sure. Yes, last question for today is, hello, I'm looking for advice about offering evening and night services. What are some ways to advertise to get clients for those particular hours? Thanks for your input. Okay. Well, like I say many times on this show, I've said in several blog posts, I'll say it all the time, advertise, market all the time. Okay? That's the first thing. Okay? And that goes for any of us, even the one earlier who was talking about the issues with tuition. Excuse me. Excuse me. First of all, we need to market all the time, because whether or not you have a spot available or not, you don't know if someone's leaving tomorrow. You can always set up a wait list. You can always refer out to another local provider, a colleague, a network provider that you know. But we should be marketing all the time, because if we wait until we have a spot, you don't know how long it's going to take to fill that spot, and that just prolongs whatever financial gap like that other provider was talking about. So market all the time. Now, you have specialized services. You are offering, I don't know if you're exclusively offering evening and night or weekend services, or if this is an expansion of the services that you already provide. But the first thing I would say is look to your community and see what industries in your community have those working hours. So in other words, is there a hospital that's in your community that those parents might be looking for childcare on a off schedule, a evening schedule or afternoon or something like that. Tap your current clients, let them know that you offer these services if they are in addition to your other services. Maybe they have family, friends, or coworkers who need those type of hours for childcare. So do that. So make sure you're doing that. Let's see. Reach out to your CCRs. Let them know that you have this expanded schedule for parents who have these off working hours, and if they need childcare. So let me see if I can think of anything else. But yeah, think of if there's other businesses that have schedules like that. Maybe there's a fulfillment center like an Amazon center or something like that in your area where there's going to be overnight workers and maybe they are in need of childcare. You want to just make sure that you get the word out in your community that you have these expanded services. I remember years ago I had I don't think she was an assistant. I think she was a client, and she needed these hours. I didn't offer overnight or evening hours or weekend hours, but she needed I think she was going to school. So that's another place. Reach out to the community colleges, the vocational schools. If they have evening classes, they might have students who need childcare for those hours. But anyway, that client of mine, not only was she in need of daytime hours, she was in need of the evening hours as well. And in my community, there was only one provider, and it was significant. It was a significant distance from where I was that this provider, but she couldn't find it anywhere else, or she couldn't find it anywhere else in her budget. So you might be in a really advantageous position offering these hours because there might not be that many providers who do. And I'll just take a couple more minutes to say that if you don't offer these hours, like I said, I didn't, but I remember when I was starting my childcare, the person who mentored me when I first got into the business, she offered 24-hour care, and I was like, "Ooh, I don't want to do that," or whatever. And she said that, for one, the kids were asleep, so it wasn't as much work as even the daytime program, most likely. But secondly, she only offered it for the first couple years of her business, and that was to set herself up financially, because you can imagine offering, for the most part, offering these off-hour care is a premium service, so you are probably going to be charging more. So she did that for a period of time, and then she changed her program and her program hours. So if it's something that, like the provider earlier who is in a financial situation, and you may not be in a position to offer off-hour care, but you might think about making some changes that are just temporary until you get where you want to be as far as setting your business up and making sure that your business has the resources it needs. I'm talking about funds, so that you don't find yourself in a situation where if a parent leaves, all of a sudden you don't have enough money to pay your bills. Excuse me. So if you can offer those type of services even for a period of time, you might want to think about doing that. Go to these mommy groups. Denitra Scott is constantly advising providers to be involved in the Facebook mommy groups or community groups, and ask people, ask parents, ask the moms, do they need these type of services? I think she alluded to this a couple of weeks ago when she was guest hosting. I am going to be talking about different business models, because I think that could really help the knowledge of the fact that there's different ways that you can set up your childcare business that might help with self-care, eliminate the provider burnout, and all of that. So I'll be getting into that very soon. But look at temporary options. It doesn't have to be something you do permanently. And I think sometimes we think that way and we think we're going to get stuck, but this is your business. You can make a change, okay? You can make a change whenever, okay? So if you need to do something temporarily to make sure you're solid, then consider it. At least consider it. And then maybe start to think about how that would look. But go to these groups and see if there's a need. Talk to them. Maybe that's where you'll get the input for how to structure that. So so I hope that helps. But yeah, tap into, going back to the question, tap into these industries and businesses that have these off schedules, and you will most likely find parents there that need these hours of care. Okay? All right. I am going to end here. I did go 15 minutes longer than I anticipated, but I got to go take care of this phone situation. Plus, I have other things to do today. I'm not happy. But anyway, thanks so much for the providers who submitted questions for this episode today. And I just want you to know that, and if I missed any input, I am sorry. I'm scrolling down here at the end here. It doesn't, I can't see any comments. So I'm going to say there's no comments. Okay. But if you do have a question, you don't have to wait for me to go live next week. You can leave your question at thrivingchildcare.com / what's your question. That's thrivingchildcare.com / what's your question, and you can leave it there and we'll address it on next week's show. And I just want to thank you for putting up with me today and my many issues. Hopefully my mood, the true mood that I'm in did not come across today, but I hope that you have a better week or a better rest of the week than my today. And I hope to see you next week. I want to thank you for joining me today for the Daycare Q&A Show. And I can't wait to continue this journey with you next week. Until then, keep thriving. Bye.